How easy is it to build a product configurator using Simplio3D? First, make sure you have your 3D model ready. If you don't have one yet, check the link in the video description for more information in a separate video. In this tutorial, I'll be using a chair I downloaded from the internet. Luckily, it's already in the correct format, a GLB, but if yours is in a different format, you can easily convert it using free software like Blender. I'll upload the chair to the app now. Alright, this is the 3D model I'll be using in my configurator. Notice how the chair parts are listed here on the right screen? I'll show you later how I'll use these parts to define the options within the configurator. Now, I'll mark my 3D model as ready, click the Save button, and move on to the Materials section. In my chair configurator, I'll offer users the option to choose from 3 types of wood and 3 types of leather. In the Materials section, I can create the wood and leather materials. But before that, I need to create categories to organize them, upload the wood and leather textures from my computer, and then create the materials for the chair. Now, I'll head to the Categories section within Materials and create categories for my textures and materials to better organize the project. Grouping them into categories will make it easier to define options later on. I'll create 2 categories for materials, one named wood and the other named leather. I'll create 2 more categories in the Textures tab with the same names, wood and leather. Once I finish creating the categories, I'll move on to the Texture section to upload my files. The wood and leather textures I have on my computer were downloaded from the internet. There are tons of texture sources online, both free and paid, that you can explore. Depending on your configurator, you can easily find all kinds of textures online and upload them here. Let's click the Upload button, select all the textures I have, and wait for them to upload. Before I can move on to creating materials with the textures I just uploaded, I need to assign them to the correct categories. Now I'm ready to create my first material. To get started, click the Add Material button in the upper right corner. I'll begin with wood, and here are the parameters I can work with. First, I name my material and select its category. Next, I choose the material type and the surface type and keep texture selected since I'll be using textures. I'll leave bump turned off for now and use the horizontal sliders to adjust the material settings. While working on my material, I can use the preview to get a better idea of how it looks on different surface types. I think it looks pretty good, so I'll change the material status from draft to ready and click Save to add it to my list. I'll repeat this process for the remaining materials. 3 wood textures will go in the wood category, and 3 leather textures will be placed in the leather category. Before moving on to products, to start building my configurator, I need to create 1 more material, which will be used as the default for some chair parts. Again, I click the Add Material button, give the material a name, and this time I leave the category unselected. Then I set the material type to metal, go to the surface section, choose colors instead of textures, and use the sliders to adjust the material settings. Perfect. Now I'm ready to move on to products and start building my configurator. If the product section is empty, you'll be prompted to either add your first product or load a predefined one. Predefined products are template configurators that can be set up in just a few seconds. In this case, I'll add a completely new product by clicking the blue Add Product button. Before adding the product, the app prompts me to enter a name and choose the product mode. By default, configurator is selected, and we'll leave it that way. The viewer mode will be covered in a separate video. Click the Save button to add the configurator to the products list. Now I'm ready to click Edit and start Build the Configurator. All configurators in the standard subscription plans are built in 6 steps. Select Layout, Add 3D models, create options, set pricing, add a form, and share. Let's go through each step one at a time. In the Select Layout tab, I can choose the position of the options menu and the 3D viewport. The menu can be placed on the right, left, top, or bottom, and this can be configured quickly from here. For now, I'll leave the options menu on the right side, but I can always come back and change it later as I build my configurator. In the Add 3D Models tab, I choose the 3D model I want to use for this configurator. This model was previously uploaded in the 3D Assets section, if you remember. Depending on the configurator I built, I can also select multiple 3D models. The Create Options tab is where I actually add the options for my configurator. I won't go into too much detail here as there will be a separate video dedicated to this tab. For now, I'll focus only on the specific options I need for my configurator. I'll start by selecting the option set blocks I need. First, I'll use the default block, which allows me to apply the chrome material to certain parts of the chair. I select default from the dropdown and click the blue Add Block button. Then, I enter a name for my default block and create my first variant, which I'll call Chrome. I choose the 3D model and select the parts that should have the chrome material. Then, I apply the chrome material I previously created in the Materials section. You might remember that step. Now, I click Save to add my first block. Then, I click Preview to see how my configurator looks and check if the chrome material appears correctly. Keep in mind, the default block allows you to apply multiple materials to different parts if needed. The default block isn't actually an option set block. Instead, it lets you apply materials to parts of the 3D model that will remain unchanged, regardless of the option selected by the user. Now I want to add color options for the chair, both wood and leather. Since I already have the materials prepared, I'll use the thumbnails option block type to display these choices. Just like with the default block, I select thumbnails from the dropdown and click the blue Add Block button. I enter a name for my new block and add the first variant by clicking the blue Add Variant button. Notice that adding a block and defining its variants works much the same way as it did with the default block. Most blocks in the system follow similar steps, with some differences depending on the block type. Here, I type the name of my variant Darkwood since this is a wood option block. I select the 3D model, select the parts I want the wood to be applied, and finally, I select the wood, the dark one, for this variant. Note that here I can first select the material category I created earlier, which I want to use for all variants in this thumbnails block. I click Save to add the first wood color option for my chair. Since this is a thumbnails block, I'll also add a thumbnail image to the variant using the same texture used in the material. I'll repeat this process to add 2 more colors to the wood color block. There are a few customization options here, like changing the button style, rounded corners, or fully rounded, adjusting their size, hiding the title. You can apply restrictions, you can drag and drop both the blocks and variants to change the order, and more. Again, I'll repeat this process to add leather colors in a separate thumbnails option block. My configurator should now look like this. All right, let's preview my configurator once more to see how it looks. Once I'm done with the options, I move on to the next step, the pricing tab. I'll keep it simple for now and cover the pricing setup in a separate video, as there are many options depending on the type of configurator. The main concept behind pricing is quite similar to the Create Options tab. It relies on pricing blocks that include different attributes. Here, I'll use the base price block to set a fixed price for the chair, since the price doesn't change when users select different colors. Don't forget to enable pricing if you want the price to appear in your configurator. Now, let's preview it again. Note that the Pricing tab supports various types of price variables, including price groups, price tables, custom price variables, and built-in variables, all of which can be used in pricing formulas. For a more detailed explanation, please refer to the documentation. Now I'll move to the Add Form tab, where I can create a contact form for my users. This allows me to collect their information before they submit their customized chair. The logic here is similar to the Create Options and Pricing tabs, as it also uses a block-based structure, so building your contact form should be fairly straightforward. In this video, my contact form will include 4 fields: first name, last name, email address, and message. I can also add a GDPR or DSA consent checkbox for privacy compliant. Now I'll add my first field called first name. To do this, I'll use the name block, selecting it from the dropdown and clicking the blue Add Field button. I'll enter the field name as first name, mark it as mandatory, and then click Save. I'll repeat the same process for the last name field. Next, I'll add my third field to collect users' email addresses. I'll select email from the dropdown and click again the blue Add Field button. Just like with the name fields, I'll name this field and make it mandatory for users to fill in. My last field will be a text type, allowing users to leave a message before submitting. As before, I'll select text from the dropdown and click Add Field. I'll name this text field message and leave it optional, not mandatory. Then I click Save, but let's not forget the privacy acceptance. Go to the dropdown, select Acceptance, and click Add Field. In the acceptance section, enter the consent message for the title, such as, "I hereby give my consent for the information provided on this form to be stored and used solely to contact me regarding my inquiry." In the paragraph field, you can provide more details about the privacy policy and make consent mandatory before clicking Save. Don't forget to enable the Add Form option for the contact form to function. Additionally, if you want to trigger emails upon submission, you'll need to complete the email authentication setup found in the email settings. All submission data will be stored in the order section. Just like the option blocks in the Create Options tab, all the fields in Add Form can be rearranged in any order you like using drag and drop. Now, let's move to the final step, the Share tab. Each configurator you create generates a unique source link that allows anyone to access the configurator. You can use this source link to embed your configurator anywhere you like. In my case, I'll simply copy and paste the generated HTML code provided by the system to easily embed my configurator on my WordPress website. You can find it right here. Log into your WordPress site as an admin, then create or open the page where you want to embed the configurator, add an HTML block and paste your code there. You can adjust the iframe size within the code as needed, save the page, then open a new tab to load your web page and see how it works. Don't forget, you can also enable augmented reality for your configurator, integrate with e-commerce platforms, and use the API to connect with third-party applications. For more detailed videos about each of them, please subscribe to our channel to be the first to find out.